Okay, Mr. Chair, we're live.
Thank you, Kara. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory and Dakota Nation territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. This morning, I will be chairing the hearing. My name is Robert Hutching. Joining me on the panel will be Ian Mahone and Bill Moretsky. Ms. Belshaw will be our recording secretary today, and the assessor representing the Assessment and Taxation Department this morning is Ms. Evans. To the participants of the hearing, please note that you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into this meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once hearing has concluded, you may leave this meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by this Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed further to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal further, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following their swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the applicant and the board members may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions by the assessor first, and then the panel members. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all of applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions based on the evidence presented here today. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. Excuse me. Kara, could you please swear in the assessor first, and I'll make a statement on the docket, okay?
Okay. So Madam Assessor, for the record, can you please state your name?
Amanda Evans.
And do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. For the record, this morning we will be hearing items number 1, 2, 6, 7, and number 11 on this docket. First property on the docket today is number 1, 432 Furby Street, Unit 301. We are dealing with a 2022 appeal by the appellant. And Ms. Evans, I note that there is a recommendation on the property. If you would like to proceed with the evidence on that first property at 432 Furby Street, please.
Yes. So this property is located in the Spence.
I'm sorry, Ms. Evans. Kara, could you swear in the appellant too, please?
Yes, of course. Mr. Appellant, for the record, please state your name. You'll have to unmute yourself. Oh, there you go.
Michael Guberman.
Thank you, Michael. And for the record, do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Amanda.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it's for 301 432 Furby Street. The property is located in the Spence neighborhood. It's an apartment-style condo built in 1910 with an effective age of 1970, 679 square feet. It has 2 bedrooms and 1 full bathroom. The comparables are all in the same complex. There are units 201, 102, 101, and 302. Their square footages range from 656 to 760. They all are 2 bedrooms except unit 302 is a 3-bedroom. They all have 1 full bath, and the comparables range from 118,500 to 161. I made a recommendation to lower the value to 125 based on comps 1, 2, and 3, the 2-bedroom comparables. And I feel that the recommendation should be maintained.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Mr. Guberman, are you aware of the recommendation and are you in agreement with it?
I'm aware of the recommendation, but I'm not in agreement.
Okay, thank you. So, Ms. Evans, please proceed.
Oh, that was everything. I feel that based on the comparables that the 125 is a reasonable recommendation for the property.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Guberman, pardon me. Any questions of the assessor's evidence presented so far?
Nope.
No questions? Okay, thank you. Ian, any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Thank you. Bill?
Yeah, I just kind of missed what you said about what the reason was for the reduction. I'm just curious.
I lowered him to 125. The first 3 comparables are the 2-bedroom comparables, so the ones that are similar to his. And I lowered him to just close to the first 2 and then a little bit higher than the second one because the first 2 comparables are more current. So 125 is what I felt was a reasonable reduction.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Bill. Amanda, so I documented 2014 sale at 126,000. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Of the subject property, and you made a recommendation to revise the assessment to 125,000. And in your comparable analysis, that's based on comps 1, 2, and 3.
Yes, those are the 2-bedroom comparables.
Okay, as is the subject property, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And location of the subject property. Can you tell me where it's
like what floor is it on?
No, I'm sorry, the street address, where it's located.
Sorry, it's 301 432 Furby Street.
Right. And are we between Sargent and Cumberland or?
Oh, sorry, here, let me just take a look at my map. Oh. So it's like Langside is south of it, and I can't actually see what's north of it right now. I see. And Ellis, it's just west of Ellis.
Okay, south of Ellis, I guess.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Okay, south of Ellis, between Ellis and St. Matthews. Okay, okay. And it's an older building, is that correct?
It's an older building that was converted back in 2014, and the whole complex was renovated. So all the units are relatively similar. They were renovated in 2014.
Okay, somebody went in there and gutted the building and did a bunch of major renovations. And there's an effective age reflecting that to 1970. Yes. Okay, all right. And there is just 1 full bath, but 2 bedrooms. Okay. Yes. Similar to the comps. Okay. Any parking that you're aware of or?
No, there's no parking.
No parking at all at the block or?
I don't have that on record, no.
Okay. Okay, we can ask the appellant. All right, good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Guberman, when you are ready, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the panel and Ms. Assessor. Is it possible for me to share my screen with my evidence, or do you all have it in front of you? And it's easier for me to just speak without a shared screen.
We have it in front of us.
Do you mind if I share my screen?
You can share the screen only if those are the screens that you provided to us. So if what you're intending to share is what you've submitted as your brief, you can go ahead and do your screen share.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I will do that. All right, everyone's able to see that?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so while I'm in agreement with the assessor that a reduction is necessary, I don't think the reduction to 125,000 goes far enough based on the comparables that I found, as well as the current condition of the building and the current market value of the building. Just to clarify the location of the building and the units, third floor of the 3-floor walk-up. It's on Furby Street between Portage and Ellis, and I've located it on the map here with the star, and the other shapes represent the comparables in the immediate area. I've gone through the sales book, the most recent sales book that was available online that shows sales from April 2018 for a market value of 2020. So nothing's really reflecting the current market value in 2021 or for the 2022 assessment. I've pulled up some here on Langside and Sherbrooke with sales in 2016 and 2017, all with market values just over $100,000, similar style building, walk-ups of, I guess, a similar effective age, even though they are newer. Another recent sale that was sent to me by my realtor in September of 2021 for a property on Beverly Street went for $69,000, so well under 100.
Mr. Guberman, we're not gonna, that's post-reference. Anything selling after April 1st, 2018 is considered post-reference, and we're not gonna look at that.
Okay, very good. You can ignore that. It was submitted ahead of time and I wasn't told to remove it, but yeah, let's ignore that. Continue with the Winnipeg sales book items. On Home Street here, you see a few trading just under 125 up to 125, same style of building. That's the one over here, walk up. And finally, one on Notre Dame with sales up to 129,000 as a 2020 value. But, you know, all in and around that 110 or $100,000 range. So there's a wide range here, and it's basically between 100,000 and 129,000. And I feel that my condo at 301 432 Furby Street falls in the $110,000 range, similar to the other comparables based on its current value and the current state of the building. To demonstrate the current state of the building, I will go to a roofing report from MJ Roofing in July of 2019, which does state that the roof is in need of a full replacement. So this isn't just regular wear and tear operation and maintenance costs on an ongoing basis. This is a full roof replacement that has not yet taken place. So the roof is effectively past its useful life and it needs to be replaced. So we really have a condo and building that's without a functioning roof. And finally, I have the current listing. It is on the market right now. The recommended listing was at 119.9. I do not believe I'm going to get that. Neither does the realtor. We're hoping for an offer to come in lower than that at the true market value, which I believe to be 110,000. And just rounding out pictures of the building, you can see it is still in need of. It's not in a great condition. You know, as part of the condo board, we are working on that, but it is a much older building. I think much older than the given effective date of 1970. Anyway, that is my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Does the assessor have any questions of the appellant's evidence?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Ian, any questions of the appellant?
Just one, the parking spots, Mr. Guberman, behind the building, it looks as though there are 4 of them. Are any specifically assigned to your unit, number 301?
There are 2 parking spots available. None are assigned to any specific unit. They're available as they come up and are free. So if I did wish to purchase one, I could. But right now, all 2 or both of them are spoken for.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bill, any questions?
Yes, for the comparables that you used, you said you got them online. Can you be a little bit more specific on what source that was?
The Winnipeg condo sales book that was available to me through the Board of Revision Vision website.
Porter Vision website? Okay. Is there any indication on when the roof will be replaced?
We do have a plan to replace the roof in 2024. We've done some repairs to keep it from leaking during the next couple of years, but we put together a financial plan to save enough money to replace the roof in 2024.
Is your suite affected by the roof right now? Is it leaking?
Right now, no, because we did put some repairs in place, but at several points in time it was. I am in the top floor unit, so the roof is directly above me. And at several points in time it was leaking, and we did put in basically a patch to help prevent that.
So it's visible within the suite itself that there is water leaking into it.
Water damage from the leaks has been taken care of. I had to do that just for quality reasons to be able to make it a livable suite. So there's no visible water damage at this point. The patch is doing its job. The patch is not meant to last for 20 years, 50 years. It's not meant to last for the full life of an actual roof. It's just meant to tide us over between now and the replacement that's supposed to take place in a couple of years.
So did you use any comparables from your own block, like the assessor did?
From my own building? No, I did not. I feel like
your own building?
Yeah, I did not use any comparables for my own building because I feel the sales at that point in time don't reflect the true market value. Now those are all from 2016. I know that my suite sold in 2014 at 126,000, and you can see right now recommendation from the realtors sub 120. So listing those other sales from 2016 in my building just didn't seem applicable.
So you think they're not recent enough then? Is that what you're saying? Did I read your comments correctly?
Yeah,
2016 is not recent enough?
Not recent enough to reflect the true market value of that building based on my knowledge of the building.
Yeah. That was 2 years before the reference date. You realize that? Yeah. It's 2 years before 2016?
Yeah, I realized when 2016 is, yes.
Okay, no further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Guberman, I'm looking at your estimates here. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you spent there's no page numbers on here. So you spent about $7,600 or let's say $8,000 patching above your suite. Is that right? Is that what that estimate is for? Recommendation number 3 from MJ Roofing.
Yeah, recommendation number 3. That's correct. 5,500.
Or number 4. Is that what? How much did you spend to patch that roof?
To patch the roof above my unit, it's given in recommendation number 3. It's $5,580 plus tax. We also took in recommendation number 1. Sorry, there was a recommendation to replace the drain. We also did that.
The whole drain system for the roof itself?
Just the roof drain, yeah, the one that's in the center of the roof,
okay,
shown on the figure.
Okay, so there's a slope going from the exterior to the center of the building, and that drain goes down into the it's let out somewhere. Okay, so let's see here. And then you're saying that there's going to be a capital cost investment by the condo corporation to replace the whole, is it tar and gravel, I guess, roof in estimated 2024. Would that be right?
That's correct.
And there would be money put aside from each condo unit as a reserve to cover this capital cost?
That is currently taking place, yes.
Okay. My next question is, you've shown a listing for, I guess it is for your unit for 119.9. Is that a current listing in 2021?
Yes, that is active.
Okay, thank you. The property is currently rented out, is that correct?
It's currently vacant.
Vacant, okay. What is the rent that you asked for on that unit?
Most recent rent was $919 per month.
Okay, 919 it's currently for rent. And does the tenant pay any utilities on top of that?
So the most recent rent was $919. Like I said, currently vacant. The tenant does pay hydro on top of that. Heat and water are included.
Okay, and the heating system, is it hot water heater or is it electric baseboard?
It's hot water.
Okay. Okay. And you're asking that the board revise the assessment to $110,000, is that right?
That's correct.
And that is based on your analysis of different buildings in the area that you provided, is that right?
Yes, based on the comparables I provided, based on and also based on the current state of my building and the replacements that are required.
Okay. I'm just going to ask you a quick question on the comparables that you provided. Are these, I'm looking at, oh, we got no page here. Okay. So we're looking at Langside, Sherbrooke, and Home Street. Would that be accurate?
Comparables on Langside, Home Street, Sherbrooke, and Notre Dame.
Okay. And are they as modernized as the subject property? It does not appear to be. Maybe, can you speak to that? If they've been renovated to the standard that the subject property is?
I can't speak to the degree to which they've been renovated. I believe some of them have. I don't have pictures of the interior of those suites, unfortunately.
Okay, no, fair enough. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, I believe that's all my questions for you, sir. Ms. Evans, any requirement for a summary?
No, I don't have anything else to include.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Does the appellant have any summary required?
No summary required.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you very much for appearing, and we'll discuss the evidence presented by both parties, and you'll be receiving our decision in the mail, okay, as soon as possible. Thank you very much, sir.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, panel. Mrs. Sesser. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, that concludes 432 Furby Street, unit number 301. Next property on the docket is going to be 275 Hugo Street, unit number 1, and we're dealing with a 2022 realty appeal. And Kara, could you swear in the appellant, Mr. Gray, please?
Yes. Mr. Applicant, for the record, please state your name.
It's Scott Gray.
And do you affirm any evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do so affirm.
Thank you.
Kara, could you please confirm that Mr. Gray is on the appeal or authorized to do so?
Mr. Gray is listed as an owner, taxable party.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Gray.
Good morning, Chairperson and members of the board.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Evans, when you are ready, please. We're dealing with unit number 275 Hugo Street North.
Okay, so this property is located in the Earl Grey neighborhood. It's a garden style building built in 2013. It's a one floor on the main floor and it has 1,387 square feet. There are 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, central air conditioning and a deck. The comparables are 672 Jesse Avenue, 670 Jesse Avenue, and 232 Academy Road and 232 Academy Road. They are in the Earl Grey and Crescentwood neighborhoods. The ones on Academy are 2 kilometers northwest of the subject property. The other 2 comparables on Jesse are, one of them's in the same complex and the other one is right beside the subject property. The years built range from 2013 to 2015. The square footages range from 1,305 to 1,508 square feet. They're all 2 bedrooms and have 3 bathrooms, except 670 Jesse has 2 bathrooms. They all have central air conditioning and a deck or a balcony. There is garage parking for comps 2, 3, and 4. Comp 1 has surface parking. Sorry, where did I just go? And the subject property also has surface parking. And the comparables range from 440 to 479.9. So 298.41 to 367.74 per square foot. And the subject property is at 453,000. And I believe this value should be maintained.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Mr. Gray, any questions of the assessor's evidence presented so far, please?
Ms. Evans, were you the one who took the pictures that are part of your evidence?
I did not take those pictures. I got them online.
All right. So in looking at the parking area, which is, I believe, the last of the pictures in your evidence, can you see that?
I see that the parking looks very, very small.
Yes. So you see the 2 structural posts that are on each side?
Yes.
And you see the parking lines that are there?
I do.
And well, it looks like the Corvette might be inside its line. It's just barely inside. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say the parking looks very small for 3 cars. Yes.
Yes.
I would agree with that.
Okay. Now, if I were to say to you that one of my vehicles that would park there would be a Ford F-150, is there any way that would
I
fit
wouldn't
in that
think
spot?
it would fit there, no.
No. Okay. All right. Okay. And you and I discussed this property 10 days or so ago. You recall that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And you're aware, are you, that the property was vacant for approximately 4 years before we bought it last year?
You mentioned that's what you said, yes.
Okay.
I was not aware of that prior, so I wasn't aware of what was going on prior to when I discussed with you and when you took possession.
Okay. So the bottom line though is we're looking at 2018. The property would have been vacant at that time in a 4-year period, right?
Possibly, yes, but the value of the property is still the value regardless if someone is living there or not. It's still a building that is a home.
Yes, but my point is that it remained vacant prior to the assessment date and all the way through until we purchased the property in 2020.
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
Well, that's what you're saying. Yes. Then I say, okay, I agree with you.
Okay.
I'm not aware of what was going on at that time.
Okay, so you're not aware that the partner who was of the
I'm only aware of what you
corporation
mentioned in your conversation, yes.
Pardon? Oh, yes. So you
Yeah,
were aware
I'm only
that he
aware of
passed
what
away in
you told me
2017.
in the conversation.
Okay. So in terms of that, these pictures that you took or that you obtained online,
Mm-hmm.
do you know what the age of those are?
Well, I looked at a listing that was on Canada or Canadian listings, and I believe that was relatively current. And I found pictures on there.
All right.
And then also on MLS.
Okay. All right. So relatively current. Would that extend back to 2017, for example?
I believe the ones that I saw on Canada listings was from 2020 or 2020. I believe that's when the listing was up from 2021.
Okay. From 2021.
Well, there's a Canada listings or canadianlistings.com that shows a listing that shows pictures on there. Canadian listings. Is that would be your listing or the previous person?
It's not listed at this point, so
okay.
It's definitely not ours. That's why when you said 2021, that took me aback.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, that's what it showed on the listing. I got it. They looked at when it was posted, and it said it was posted sometime in 2021. So
okay.
That could be wrong. I don't know.
Okay, so you're just relying on.
I'm just looking at the pictures that are on
that
MLS
information
and on CanadaListings.com.
Yeah.
So those show those pictures. If you have other pictures, then I mean that's what you can discuss in your discussion.
Yes, and certainly we'll talk about that. I'll talk about that in my evidence. I just wanted to know where the source of these
MLS
things were.
and CanadaListings.com. What I mentioned.
Okay. Now. You see that the flooring throughout this property appears to be stone flooring. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the bedrooms and the living room, kitchen area there.
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Yes.
It's all stone. Do you know if that's the same kind of flooring that's used in the comparable in that same building, number 2672 Jesse?
No, I don't believe it's the same flooring in the 672.
Okay. So the flooring in 672 is a hardwood flooring. Is that your understanding?
I believe so.
Okay. And that flooring would be perhaps a little more amenable to a family situation rather than stone for your kids to fall on?
I guess I'm not commenting on the floor. I mean, each house has different types of flooring. So, I mean, someone might like stone, someone might like hardwood. That's someone's personal preference.
Yes, but I'm talking about whether a family would potentially be marketable on this property. We're talking about the market value.
Mm-hmm.
So between the two, would you indicate whether you think a family would be more inclined to the hardwood as opposed to the stone?
I think it depends on the person. Probably hardwood, but it depends on the person.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right, now in terms of the neighborhood, are you aware of? Let's see. Looking out the windows of the property, there appears to be a building across Hugo Street. Are you aware of what that is?
I know there's a building. I don't know exactly what building it is. Probably an apartment building, but I don't know.
Okay, so you're not aware that that's the Winnipeg Convalescent Home?
No.
All right. And okay, and then across the street, Jesse is a park.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Or do you know?
I didn't see where on Jesse where. So just across the street on Jesse?
Yes.
Okay. So there would probably be an open green space.
Well, it's more concrete
Okay.
park. Chairperson, members of the board, it's the park right behind Coliseo Restaurant, which is on Corridon there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Are you familiar with that area, Ms. Evans?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So does that remind you of what that park?
Yeah, I know what it looks like. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what you're. Like, continue with what you're
yeah.
saying.
Okay. So that park.
Mr. Gray, you can, excuse me, may I suggest that you present your evidence when it's your turn to present it? I understand where you're going with it. You're asking the assessor whether she knows the park. We'll just leave it at that, okay? And then you can present your evidence related to that later on, okay?
Okay, well, I just wanted to touch base with her in terms of
course.
If she knows what kind of traffic goes through there.
Well, she's answered you that she stated that she doesn't know the area. So we'll leave it at that. And if you want to present your evidence related to that, we'll do it in your presentation, okay?
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, so just a couple more questions, Ms. Evans. You see the large windows along the side of the living room
Yes.
area. Right outside that, those windows is a public sidewalk, is it not?
Yes.
Okay. And those windows even, let me see, are also visible in the master bedroom, looking into both the shower and the tub there. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. So people are walking by, right by the property along virtually all of the length of the property. Is that fair to say?
Sure.
Okay. And is that comparable to the other properties?
The other properties don't have as large of windows on the main floor. The other properties are on the second floor.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The other properties are on the second floor and therefore don't have the same kind of public availability. Is that fair to say?
Sure.
Okay. Now, also, the last thing I want to ask you about is the deck that you show. On the first picture, the exterior of the subject property.
Mm-hmm.
You see that low deck that's in front of 275 Hugo.
Mm-hmm.
That's at that's a public sidewalk going past it on Jesse there. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing to stop people from going across that deck if they so choose to get onto Hugo. Is that fair to say?
Okay.
As you can see, there's no obstructions or anything on the deck. It's just a low deck, right?
Yes.
So it's possible that people would walk across there.
Sure.
Fair enough? Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Evans. Those are all the questions I have, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Bill, any questions of the assessor?
Yeah, I'm just confused a little, quite a bit about with the pictures here. So you could maybe just help me out a little bit, Amanda. The first picture is of the subject property, and then there's there's first, second floor of two of the comparables beside it.
Yeah, like the first comparable is on the second floor of the same building that he's in. Okay. And then the second comparable is on the second floor right beside him.
So these are actually side by side, these two?
They're they're not attached, but they're right beside each other.
But they're on different streets?
Well, they're it's like at the corner of Jesse and Hugo. So, so because his faces Hugo, his address is Hugo, and then the other ones would be Jesse.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. And then maybe some of the next one's pretty self-evident. Now, the third page of the pictures, what's the top one there? Is that the comparable or subject or?
So all the pictures are of the subject. I don't have any interior pictures of the comparables. Okay,
so these are all subject.
Yes.
And again, where did you get these pictures from?
On MLS and CanadaListings.com. They were pretty much the same pictures, but on both of those websites.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, clears that up. So what is the best comparable then in your opinion?
The first two comparables, comps 1 and 2, so the two comparables on Jesse, as they're in the same, well, one of them's in the same complex, the other one's right beside. They're built by the same builder, and they're kind of unique in the sense like they look a little bit different than the average comp. Like the Academy ones are more of an average looking unit. They're on a busy road, so it's kind of in a different area. So comps 1 and 2 are my most comparable.
So the interior finish of those comparables 1 and 2 are similar to the subject property in your opinion?
Well, they're similar, but like he said, like they are a little bit different. Like the flooring would be different in one, but I mean, it was all built together, so they would have somewhat different finishings, but they're relatively comparable.
In your opinion, would they be superior finishes to the subject?
No, I don't think so.
Just
the same.
Just the same. Okay. No further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ian, any questions of the assessor?
I do have a couple, if that's okay. First of all, going back to the picture of 672 and 670 Jesse, along with 1275 Hugo Street North. The subject property is the one, as I'm looking at the picture, on the left-hand side, or is it on the right-hand side?
It's the one that's on the corner. The subject property is right on the corner.
I see. So that's the subject property. The
yes.
comparables are right next door. And as you said, they were constructed by the same developer.
Yeah, at separate times. Yep.
Okay, I'm looking at the effective year built 2013,
yeah.
but 2014 for comparable.
Yeah,
numbers.
It wasn't at the same time.
Okay. Now, the last question that I have, help me out here, please, with some explanation if you can. The selling prices are pretty consistent between the subject property and the first two comparables, but there is a, I don't know, $28 variance between the price per square foot with respect to the subject property and comp 1 and $13 give or take with comp 2. How is that variance determined, or how did you determine the approximate square footage value?
So are you talking about for comps 1 and 2, why the subject property is higher price per square foot?
Yes, they all seem to be.
They're high, yeah. And the comps comp 1 and 2 have larger square footage than the sub. Like comp 1 is 1,500 square feet, so it's a little bit larger. So the price per square foot would be a little bit lower.
Okay, so the gross price is consistent, but it depends on the interior square footage, which may skew it higher or lower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Amanda, I'm going to go through the pictures here. The first one, I guess, so we've got two, I'll call them infill construction sites here.
Yeah.
This picture's on the right side. That's the corner lot. The subject is addressed on Hugo because it's got an inset entrance from the side of the building. Is that correct? Okay. And these are stacked condos, each floor. There's 3 units in each building.
There's 3 in his building, and there's only 2 in the next door one.
Okay, perfect. And he's on Hugo because he's got that bright orange inset entrance. If we look at the picture above, that would be the side view of the building, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so that's his inset entry. The other units are accessed from the front. It looks like there's a front sidewalk. Okay. Now, the comparables. Comp number one is actually, is that upstairs from the subject property, or is that
it's
upstairs?
It's got 2 levels.
Yes, okay, that's the middle condo, but it's addressed on Jesse because the entrance is from the front, okay.
Yeah.
Comp number 2 is the dwelling next door that's shown in the picture.
Yes.
And that is on, what level is that one on?
On the second level also.
Oh, okay,
it's got 2, it's got like 1.5. It's on the second level, and then the bedroom and bathroom and main bedroom is on the next level up.
Okay, perfect. The next picture is your comparable at 232 Academy Road. Those are side by side, right? That's your comp 3 and 4, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the orange bright, that's that inset entry into the main floor unit that we're dealing with?
Yes.
Okay. And these photos are, I guess they could be considered post-reference, but they reflect the physical characteristics of the house or the condo when it comes to floor finish and cabinets and that kind of thing. Okay.
Yes.
What is if we go past the tub and the shower, the next one with the yellow entrance, is this the subject properties? Is this a deck?
Sorry, let me just get back to my pictures. Sorry, just 1 second.
Above the parking, yeah. That one.
So where you see across the yellow?
Yes.
That would be the other complex.
But is this a picture of the subject properties deck?
Oh, there's just like a small open deck, yes.
Okay, with a wood lath fencing around it or some kind of a fencing, okay. And where's that located in relationship to the parking spots at the back? I'm a bit confused here. What side of the house this is on?
It would be facing the other building. So, and then the parking would be, I guess, back from it, like going towards the back of the house. Like this is kind of, I guess, in the middle of the house of the building. Is it on the Hugo side or is it on? No, it would be on the other side of facing the other building.
The neighboring condo, right? Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah, all right. Now I understand. And I guess we've dealt with the tight parking spot from the appellant. Yeah, okay. Yeah. There's limited.
That's quite small. Is
it like a 40-foot lot, do you think? Or
I don't know I didn't.
Yeah. So obviously there were single family or some kind of dwellings. There were houses there. They tore them down and they got a variant to build these condos here. Okay. Yeah. Okay, and we are located on Hugo Street at Jesse, right? So we're about 4 blocks south of Wellington Crescent. Okay. Now, I guess we've got a post-reference sale that we're not even going to deal with. I guess Mr. Gray had brought up the point that the house was vacant in 2018. And I guess we all understand it's the physical condition today that establishes the market value. Okay. I think those are all my questions. My last question is, so I guess in reference to Mr. Gray's question about the floor, does the concrete slab or the tile slab, I guess this is built, it's slab on grade, I guess, and then you just put a tile flooring over that slab. Would that be accurate? There's no crawl space or anything.
There's no basement, no.
Yeah, okay. All right, that is all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gray, when you are ready, please.
Thank you, Chairperson. I don't have a number of comparables to compare this property to, because it's our submission to you that this is in fact a fairly unique situation. This, unlike the other comparables that Ms. Evans put forward, this is a ground floor property.
You know, Mr. Mr. Gray, I apologize, but I'd like to mention to you, I suspect we've got a post-reference sale that occurred. We're not gonna, please don't bring that up at all, because we don't know, we don't want to know what you paid for it, okay? That'll be done within the next reassessment. Okay, I'm sorry, I meant to mention that to you before. Thank you.
No, and that's fine. The fact is that the property has, I don't believe, ever been sold prior to our acquisition of this. So you don't have any sale of the property to give you a market niche for this property at the appropriate time of 2018. But the fact is that the property was vacant and languished on the market for a reason. And that's because it's different from a lot of these other properties. This, if I can direct you to that picture of the side of the property where the orange entranceway is below it, I'll orient you as to how this condo unit works. Basically, the unit that we're talking about extends from the left-hand side of the picture all the way back to the two windows towards the back. And you can see the parking is back over there. Can you see that, Mr. Chairperson?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Okay. So this property, and you can see the sidewalk all the way along there, and people are going by there on a regular basis. Now, I don't live in this property. Bought this property with my wife for our son and his girlfriend. They are the ones who've been occupying the property. They are not paying us any rent with respect to this property. We're just, we're the owners of the property, but we don't occupy it other than to go and visit every once in a while. So I'm very familiar with the property, but I'm not occupying yet. Now, the three windows that are the living room area in the left-hand side of this picture, above that is 672 Jesse. Okay, and it extends for those two levels that are that you can see above there. All right, 672 Jesse has a deck that you can see clearly visible right above our living room, but it also has another deck above our doorway where you can see the umbrella at the back. So they have basically two outdoor spaces that allow them a great deal more privacy than having people walking past their property. The third unit in this building is located just by the parking area. You can see there's two, you can see the parking area, and then there's a post, a double post, and it's right in there that the doorway to 279 Hugo is. And it extends above the main bedroom on those 2 floors up there. They also have a deck. Actually, interestingly, the deck is right where the cursor is in this photo that Ms. Evans captured. So you can see the deck at the back there. And so again, they have a great deal more privacy than we do. As looking at the front of the area, this chairperson correctly identified that door that you see on the left-hand side of our building is in fact the door to 672 Jesse. That's why that property is badged as Jesse, and our doors, the 2 doors for 275 Hugo and 279 Hugo, are on that other picture, as you can see over there. This property is a little strange that way. It's got a great deal of public availability to it, which basically means that the blinds that you have in this property are pretty much fully extended almost the entire time. You don't really get the advantage of all of that light because you have to, in order to maintain your privacy, you have to keep those blinds in place. One thing I should point out, in looking at the living room area, you're looking out the deck in that picture at the bottom. There, you have a picture of the dining area, and then you've got a picture of the living room area, and that's the deck out the front there. So that door does slide open, and so you can't really put a blind in front of that. It basically has to remain open at virtually all times. So your view out on Jesse is equal to that of somebody on Jesse looking into your property while you're in your living room. Now, you did identify that there is a very small deck, Mr. Chairperson, a second deck, which is identified there. That deck does look at the 670 Jesse property, and you can see there's the 2 chairs and the table on that deck. That's about the size of the deck. That's pretty much it. So while you do have a small private area there, and there's not much to that, and you are exposed to the next door neighbors, but that's fine. That's not a major problem. The main deck is the one in the front, and that's the one that people, unless we put something out there to keep them off of it, constantly go across that deck to cut the corner on Hugo and Jesse from either direction. It really doesn't matter. So it's not the most private of residences. And it's our view that that lack of privacy is one of the main reasons why this property languished on the market for as long as it did. Now, the pandemic has identified some even further issues, because out that orange door is the Winnipeg Convalescent Home. And specifically, directly out that front door is the loading zone where the ambulances leaving, sadly, the convalescent home have regularly been parked for extended periods of time and at all hours of the day and night. It's a tragedy. It's certainly something that we didn't even contemplate when we were looking at the property, but I'm sure it's going to have an impact going forward with the market value of this property. I've already covered the fact that the parking is questionable at the least, and it's our view that given that the property was vacant, we were the ones who lucked out to the other two properties. They basically took over the parking, and we don't really have a parking spot there. My son does drive a Ford F-150, and he's been having to evade the Winnipeg Police Service by parking at various points on Jesse and Hugo and the surrounding areas. Okay. Now, there have been, since we've acquired the property, there have been a couple of major issues which arose, and I think arose because of the length of the vacancy. And so that does tie back into 2017 when the previous owner passed away and nobody was really maintaining the property. The built-in microwave never worked since we acquired the property. That built-in microwave, to replace it exactly, was going to cost us about $1,500. So as you can tell, it's not exactly, your regular microwave. We were able to find something that was comparable, that fit into the decor, and got that done for about $800. So we've spent that on this. But more importantly, the HVAC system has basically collapsed and hasn't been working, wasn't working for a significant period since the spring of this year. So less than a year after we got it, it's broken down. We've spent about $5,000 in repairs on the air conditioning this summer. And as you know how hot it was, it was so hot in the condominium that no one could actually live there for a while. They had to go out into the girlfriend's parents' place for a time.
Okay, Mr. Gray, you've listed two items, but they've both been rectified. Do you have any outstanding items that are still a problem?
Well, no, that's what I'm about to get to, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you.
The Frontier Refrigeration and Mechanical, the folks who did the $5,000 worth of repairs, advise us that they're not sure that's going to hold up, and that if we need to replace the units, which is the next step in their process, it's going to be another $7,000. So we're looking at a total of approximately $12,000 in HVAC repairs if that comes to fruition. Now, I will say, Mr. Chairperson, everything seems to be working fine now, and We're hoping that it doesn't come to that, but that's what we're looking at, is the vacancy of this property impaired the property to the extent of approximately $12,000 to $14,000 worth of repairs that we've had to put into the property. Okay, so I was going to talk to you about the fact that the transaction that we did last year was an arm's length transaction, but you don't want to hear that, and I understand what you're saying with respect to that.
We'll deal with that next cycle, okay? Yeah.
You know, and I understand that. It's just that given what occurred, and given that it wasn't a related transaction at all, it's hard for us to contemplate the valuation that the city has put on this property. So from our perspective, there should be a substantial reduction on this property because of its unique nature. I recognize, excuse me, I recognize that it's a relatively new build. I recognize that it has a certain appeal to it. To be quite honest with you, rather than a residence, I'd rather have this place as my office. That's the kind of ambiance that it has. And I think the fellow who passed away was an architect, and that was kind of his thinking, was he was going to use that front area and the kitchen, which is open to that front area, kind of as his office in semi-retirement. Unfortunately, he didn't make it.
Okay. So, Mr. Gray, how would you like to state what you think the assessment should be, if you think obviously that it's wrong now, and you've detailed why you think it's wrong, but can you give us a number?
Chairperson, I don't profess to be a professional property assessor, and I don't, because it's a unique situation, because it's not like the other comparables that you're dealing with. It's hard for me to put a number specifically on this property. From her lips, Ms. Evans' lips, to God's ear, it actually is worth what she says it is. But that isn't. There isn't any evidence in my view, that that's what we're going to get if and when we go to sell this property. And ultimately, that's kind of what we have to look at. So from my perspective, if I was going to list this property at this point, I'd probably be listing it at somewhere 300, 325, something in that neighborhood. Because I recognize the challenges of this property are significant when compared to the other comparables that have been put before you. Okay.
So you're asking the board to adjust the assessment for 2022 to approximately, and I'll average it out here, $315,000. Is that fair?
That would be fair in my view, Mr. Chairperson. I realize that that's more what I think I would be able to list the property for than anything else.
Okay. All right. So that gives us a number, your opinion of value. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Okay. Anything else you'd like to add? You presented all the problems with the, with the marketability of the property. The assessor has presented great pictures of the situation with, I'll call it kind of the fishbowl of the apartment or the condo, yeah, from the sidewalk and everything. Okay, so Amanda, any questions of the appellant?
I don't have any questions, no.
Okay, thank you. Bill, any questions?
Yeah, the parking situation, you've alluded to a couple of times, Mr. Gray, that it's very tight for bigger vehicles. And maybe, I don't know if this is more appropriate for the assessor, but what is the parking situation for the comparables?
There is parking for all the comparable properties.
Actual dedicated parking, like the same
Well,
setup?
this comp one is in the same complex, so that would be one of those, like the same parking spot as the subject property.
Right.
And comp 2, 3, and 4, they actually have garage parking, so they can go inside like a small garage.
And Mr. Member, can I just add to that? I know that we talked about my son's F-150 is not ever going to fit in that spot. I drive a commuter car, now it's a Mercedes-Benz, but it's an A250. So it's a very small car. I wouldn't be able to fit that in that space, because as you saw, those other vehicles are already right on or very near to the parking lines in that property. So,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gray.
One
Bill,
more question.
of course.
What is the current occupancy of this unit? What's the current occupancy situation, Mr. Gray?
well, the current occupancy situation is that my son is a football coach in the Czech Republic right now. And he's been over there since July. So his girlfriend is the only one who's now living in the property, but he will be back and he will be occupying the property.
For the foreseeable future then? That's the situation.
Well, he's got another job offer in Austria, just outside Vienna, which might start in January. So he's looking at all of his options in terms of where he might be. His ultimate goal is to eventually move to the United States to coach football there, but that he's getting some experience far afield.
Okay, thank you.
Be a head coach.
Okay, so if you were to rent this place out, how much do you think you would get for it?
I don't know because I haven't tried. I would expect that it would probably be $1,500 to $2,000, but I haven't tried. I don't know.
Okay, thank you. No further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Bill. Ian, any questions?
I just have one. In your summing up, after you've spoken, Mr. Gray, about the repairs, the $800 for a microwave and $5,000 on the HVAC, you said that you'd already spent $12,000 to $14,000 worth of repairs. What else did you have to pay for, or was that 12 to 14 just encompassing the possibility in a future time of the 7,000?
I'm sorry, Mr. Member, if I misspoke there. I thought I was making it clear that the 12 to 14,000 was if we do have to do what Frontier is worried about, that full replacement, and then there'd be another 7,000 on top of the money that we've already spent.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. I'm sorry, Ian. Okay, Mr. Gray, parking spaces. Are those assigned parking spots? Like, is that titled, I'll call it the middle, let's call it number 2. Is that on the title for your unit?
I don't believe so. I could be wrong about that, Mr. Chairperson. But I mean, it was always contemplated that each of the units would have a parking space. That's why they painted the lines as they did to try to squeeze 3 cars in there. But
Yeah.
I just don't think it's physically possible to get a 3rd vehicle in there. I certainly wouldn't park my small commuter car in there because it won't fit.
I guess what I'm getting at is if the Corvette left for the day, your son could pull into that sidewalk spot and have it for 4 months while he's gone away, for instance. So I'm trying to get at, maybe obviously the inferior spot is the middle one, but the zoning allowed for 3 spots, probably required 3 spots. They did allow that minimal size, but I guess it passed the requirements for zoning variance. But so you're not saying that middle spot is necessarily attached to your condo unit?
Let me answer it this way, Mr. Chairperson. Because our unit was vacant for so long, by reason of usage alone, the other 2 units acquired the parking spots and have been using the parking spots to the exclusion of us. So when we finally purchased the property, we were the 3rd ones in there, and there was no way we could park in there.
Okay. Second question is front of the property that you're making reference to people crossing it.
Yes.
I'm looking at the pictures, and you're referring to the concrete, let's call it a concrete patio out the front of the unit. Is that right?
It's actually a wooden
Okay.
unit, but it's only like 3 or 6 inches above grade.
Okay, so if we look at the neighbor to the left, the adjoining, or sorry, the property, they built a fence around their patio and enclosed it. Would you be allowed to make that private by establishing a fence around it?
I believe that we'd have to get a variation from the city in order to go above grade to that extent, Ms. Chairperson.
Okay.
And that's not the way the unit was in 2018. So it's important to remember that the people going back and forth across there, we're going back and forth across there in 2018.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just wondering if there would be a possibility of making it more private. Okay. And my last question is, no, I've forgotten. The HVAC, do you have your own forced air unit within the unit? And then there's
yes, that's correct,
okay.
Chairperson. Each of the units are separate.
And where are the central air conditioning units? On the roof? Or is it
well, our control unit is within a closet in our building, just as you come in that orange door.
Okay.
The compressor, I think, must be up on the roof. I don't honestly know, but
okay.
I think you're probably right about that.
Okay. That's my only questions. Okay. Amanda, any requirement for a summary?
No thanks.
Mr. Gray, I think you've detailed everything very finely here, so we understand the situation. I know what my last question was. I apologize. Is there any restriction for you to put one-way privacy film on those main floor windows in that building? Like a mirror finish, so that nobody could see it?
Yeah, there. I suppose that could work.
My question is,
there are blinds there that
Yeah.
do work, but,
No, my question is whether it's allowed to put that film on the windows.
I honestly don't know whether it's allowed or not, Mr. Chairperson. I haven't looked at it specifically because there are the blinds there, and they work very well. They just cut down on the amount of light that can get in.
Okay. That's my only question. I apologize. So no need for summary on your part, Mr. Gray?
Mr. Chairperson, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and the members of the board, but I believe that you have an appreciation of our position with respect to this matter. Okay,
thank you very much. We will, go in camera and study both presentations and come up with our opinion of value, and we will contact you by mail as soon as possible. Thank you for appearing, Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, members of the board. I appreciate your time. Ms. Evans and Kara, I also appreciate the opportunity to interact with you as well.
Okay, that concludes 275 Hugo Street, unit number 1. Thank you, sir. Does anybody need a break?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna recess for about 5 minutes, please. Thank you, Kara. Okay, I'll call the hearing back to order. Next property on the docket will be item number 6, and that is unit 801 71 Roslyn Road. Kara, could you swear in the appellant, please?
Yes, Mr. Applicant, for the record, can you please state your name?
Scott Garbutt.
And do you affirm any evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Garbutt.
Good morning.
Okay, Amanda, we're dealing with 71 Roslyn Road.
Yeah.
Unit 801.
Okay, this property is located in the River Osborne neighborhood. It's an apartment style building built in 1960 with an effective age of 1990. It is 996 square feet. It has 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, wall air conditioning, and a balcony. And it also has a river view. The comparable properties are all in the same complex. They're units 805, 201, 910, and 310. The square footages range from 898 square feet to 996 square feet. They all have 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms for units or for comps 1 and 2, and then 1 bathroom for comps 3 and 4. Comps 1 and 2 have the river view, and comps 3 and 4 do not. Comp 1 is the most comparable as it's on the same floor and has the same river view. The comps range from $245,000 to $278,000, and the subject property is at 267, and I believe that this value should be maintained.
Thank you, Ms. Evans.
Thank you.
Mr. Garbutt, any questions of the assessor's evidence presented so far, please?
Well, since this building went to a condo, I can't remember the year. It was like 2011 or 2010. The one price of $278 happens occasionally.
No, sir. No. Any questions on the assessor's evidence?
No questions.
Comparables or anything that she's presented? No questions right now. You'll have an opportunity to make your case.
Oh, okay.
When it's your turn. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Ian, any questions of the assessor?
Just one. How many floors are in this apartment building? I see you've got 1 comp up to the 9th floor.
It's 9 stories.
9 floors? Okay, thank you.
Actually 10. There's a penthouse.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Ian?
No, thank you. That's great, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Bill, any questions of the assessor?
No questions.
Thank you. Amanda, my only question is unit 805, comp number 1. Would that be right next door to the subject property or on the same floor, same amenities?
It's on the same floor, same side. I don't know if it's right next door.
Okay.
They're both facing the river.
Yeah, so same influence with the
Yes.
Riverview North, right? Okay. And are we located east of Osborne, I guess, 71 east of Osborne Street?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes.
All right. And built in 1990, so it's concrete. Okay. 2 bedrooms. And a balcony, right? Okay.
Yes.
That's my only question. Okay, Mr. Garbett, when you are ready, please.
I do have a question about that 1990. So the building is built in 1960. What's with the reference to 1990?
It was when it was converted into the condo complex. So there's an effective age based on the upgrades and when it was converted.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at my documents, but I thought it was converted to a condo like 2010, 2011.
Yeah, no, that's not the year that it was converted. Sorry, that's just the effective age that was given based on the upgrades that were done and what was done when it was converted to a condo complex.
Okay.
And I believe it was in 2000. We have it as 2013, but it could have been maybe a little bit earlier, and we just have our records as of 2013.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Evans. Bill, did you have any questions? Sorry.
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. And I have no questions either. Okay. Mr. Garbett, when you're ready, please.
Yeah, just 1 second here, sorry.
Okay.
So the one unit that sold for 278, that's abnormal if you look back till if it was 2013 or 2012. I'd have to look at my documents, but occasionally a unit will sell higher than that. But for the most part, if you look back for the history all the way back to 2012, the units are selling between 245 and 255. And the condo market with this age of building is very stale and is not increasing in value.
Okay, Mr. Garbett, would you like to reference which condo or which units you're talking about and when they sold exactly in your building? You're referencing 201 and 910, is that right?
Yeah, that was in this period. 201 actually sold, I believe, was a unit that sold twice in 2016 and then again in 2017, and the value actually went down. I believe it sold for 255 in 2016, and 2017 it sold for 252.
And the second unit on 910, when did that sell? You're referencing that one.
I believe that one sold in 2018.
Okay, go ahead, please.
If you like, for a while as well, like if you look at North Osborne and South Osborne, so I mean north of Cordon and south of Cordon, if you look at the value, like I don't have any numbers in front of me, but the property values are going in opposite directions. South Osborne is being cleaned up very nicely over the last 3 to 4 years. And North Osborne has lots of, partly because of the pandemic, but lots of empty restaurant spaces and building and businesses not looking after their buildings. And we have a huge homeless issue on the river that's been going on since around 2017, I believe, 2018. You cannot right now, this is actually is a problem in many parts of the city, but if you leave anything in your vehicle accidentally overnight, well, your vehicle is going to be broken into. And I don't know, I don't see the city or the province doing anything about the homeless issue.
Okay, anything else you'd like to tell us about why you think the assessment is wrong?
Yeah, I've been speaking with other residents, and there's been heating issues and cooling issues in the building that the condo board is very slowly looking after, or not at all. They're ongoing still. It's an old building with poor ventilation. Yeah, the wall unit does not cool your unit in the summer. I know I can't use this here as an example, but some people moved in this summer and moved out like a month later because they couldn't handle the heat in the summer.
Okay.
The building needs lots of upgrades, and unfortunately the condo board is not looking after them. I'll have lots of examples for you next go around.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I might as well ask you now, what do you think the assessment should be revised to?
I think it should be revised to 257. I can tell you that I paid less than that for it in the spring.
Yeah, we're not going to reference that at all, okay?
I know, but
that's post-reference. No, we're not going to even deal with that. We're not going to go there right now. It'll be dealt with in the next cycle, okay?
Yep.
Yeah, we're looking at 2018 April 1st as the base for valuations. Okay. Anything else? I think you've covered everything, just reading your statement here and everything. Okay. Ms. Evans, any questions of the appellant's evidence?
No, I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Ian, any questions of the appellant?
I don't, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Bill, any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you. Mr. Garbett, so is there central air in the building, or is it individual wall units?
Each suite is individual wall units, and then there's a central air heat in the hallways.
Okay, got you. Okay. So hallways only and common areas, I guess. Yeah. Parking, is it open like surface parking, or is it underground, or what do you have there?
It is open surface parking.
Okay.
And I have one spot.
And you have titled one spot. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And my last question is, what is the, you're saying that the board isn't undertaking repairs. Is there a sufficient reserve fund that you're aware of, or?
No, they're going to have to increase that. It's, I believe, last I heard it was 270.
Okay.
270,000.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that there's some major capital costs to the HVAC system coming up over the next while.
Yeah, and building exterior as well. But
okay. I think that's all my questions, and you're asking that it should be about 250. I'm sorry, 257.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Amanda, any requirement for summary?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Garbett, any requirement for summary?
No.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for appearing. We'll consider all evidence presented, and you'll be hearing from the board via mail as soon as possible. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you very much.
That concludes 71 Roslyn Road, Unit 801. Okay, next property on the docket that we're going to deal with is item number 7. That is 55 Nassau Street North, Unit 503. We're dealing with a 2022 realty appeal. And I note, Ms. Evans, that there is a recommendation on the property. And would you like to go through that and tell us whether the owner is aware of it and has accepted it or not? Thank you.
Okay, so for 503, 55 Nassau Street, yes, I spoke with the owner and he accepted the recommendation. I lowered his value to the low end of the comparables as his unit is not as upgraded as some of the other units. So,
okay. Amanda, would you mind entering the property into the?
Sorry, yes, it's roll number 12032761888 or sorry 800 503 55 Nassau Street. And the recommendation I made was to lower it to 211,000.
Okay.
Which was accepted by the homeowner through email.
Okay. And the reason for the recommendation was, I'm sorry, would you mind repeating that, please?
Yes, I lowered him to the low end of the comparables. His kitchen, his unit is not upgraded, and the majority of the comparables have a more upgraded kitchen, fixtures and stuff like that. So I brought him down based on the condition of his unit.
Okay, so we're revising it from $223,000 down to $211,000.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ian, any questions of the assessor?
I do not, thanks.
Thank you. Bill, any questions?
No questions.
And I have no questions either. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
That concludes 55 Nassau Street North, Unit 503. Okay. So we are going to item number 11 on the docket, 311 Hargrave Street, Unit 905. Kara, could you swear in the appellant, please?
Yes, I can. You'll just have to unmute yourself and please state your name for the record.
Joe Masick?
Do you affirm any evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, just bear with me 1 second here. Okay, item number 11. Okay. Unit 905, 311 Hargrave. Okay. Ms. Evans, when you are ready, please.
This property is located in the Portage Ellis neighborhood. It's an apartment style building built in 2016. It's 626 square feet. There's 2 bedrooms, 1 full bath, central air conditioning, and a balcony. The comparables are all in the same complex. Units 605, 705, 1105, and 1605. They are all the exact same size, the same 626 square feet, all have 2 bedrooms, 1 full bath, central air conditioning, and a balcony, the same as the subject property. The values of the comparables range from $263,900 to $296,900. The square footage is 421.57 to 474.28 per square foot, and the subject property is at 271 or 432.91 a square foot, and I feel this value should be maintained.
Okay. Thank you. Before we even start, I just note that in the brief, the appellant has submitted a post-reference sale document, I believe. I'm just looking at it here. And we will not, sir, we will not consider that post-reference sale. Okay, so we will not accept any evidence of that post-reference sale after April 1st, 2018.
The only, am I allowed to speak now or?
No, I'm just stating a fact here that it's post-reference material and that that we're not gonna, it has no relevance, or that we're not gonna pay attention to it at this hearing. It would be presentable at the next cycle of assessment. But anyway, that's, I'm just looking at it, takes up quite a bit of your, okay. Sir, do you have any questions of the assessor's evidence presented so far?
Yeah, can Ms. Evans, excuse me, the comp 1605, would you have information about the possible parking space or storage facilities that were included with 605?
I do have it, that there was a parking spot available, or sorry, a parking spot with the unit, yes.
Okay, and do you know exactly how much that parking spot was valued at?
I don't know what the cost of the parking spots are, no.
Oh, okay. Same thing with 705. The same question. Would you?
I only know that 1605, the comp 1, did not come with a parking spot, and then 605 did come with a parking spot, and I don't know the other ones. In our records for the complex, we don't have parking spots as listed in our records for all of the units except for 605.
Okay.
As well as your complex. I don't have you listed as having a parking spot.
Okay. So it's fair to say that these comparables that you've provided, there is some deficiency in information, and it would be reasonable to assume that these prices may or may not reflect additional amenities within the building.
It's reasonable to assume that parking could be included in some sales and not in others, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Also, would you be aware of the values between the floors? So, for example, 1605 being 6 or 7 floors up, each floor as Glasshouse Lofts was sold by Urban Capital. Urban Capital added additional values to those apartments per floor. Would you be aware of that?
I don't know what each floor adds or decreases. I picked sales that are all within a certain range of your floor, like within a few feet, because I wanted to make sure they were as close to the floor, to your floor, as I could.
Okay. And would you say that all of the apartments around that time frame in 2017, there's 194 units within that building. Would you say that this would be a fair representation of all of the units that were sold, or would you say that the vast majority of the units, the 194 units, remained unsold, and this would be a small subsection of the brand new units that were sold in 2017?
Well, there was a large amount of sales that took place within our reference period. So there was quite a bit of sales. They were different sizes. I picked the ones that were the same size as yours, the same units as yours, but there was quite a few of sales within your unit size. There was a large amount of sales.
Okay, can you give me some specifics surrounding that? When you say a large amount, would you say?
Well, when I looked at sales, there was at least a good 30 to 40 sales in the complex. And I don't have any information on the other ones right now because I picked these 4 sales.
Okay, so it would be about 10% of the representative sample and 30 to 40 sales, let's say 40 sales, that would be that would be less than 25% of the entire complex of 194 units. So those are my questions.
Okay.
Now. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Ian, any questions of the assessor?
Just one. When doing assessments with respect to apartments, what amount typically or can you ascribe or attribute an amount to a parking spot?
When in our records, we just have it listed as an attribute, and it at this point it doesn't affect our assessment value.
Thank you. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Ian, any questions?
For me?
Bill, sorry, I'm sorry, Bill.
I assumed it was me. Just getting back to the floors here again, Amanda. So the applicant mentioned that the developer was asking more for units on higher floors. Is that something you've come across before, or did the assessment department come across before in Winnipeg?
Sorry?
Is that something the assessment department has come across before with high rises in Winnipeg, that higher floors are worth more than lower floors?
That is something that the higher the floor, there is a difference in value. There can be, and we look at anything higher than the fourth floor as it's valued the same. Like anything on the first few floors would have a lower value due to, say, traffic or their view not being as good as, say, the higher floors. But like in our model, like something on the 9th floor or the 10th floor or the 11th floor, those don't range in values to us. Like we don't change the value of our assessment based on a few different floor levels up or down when you're looking at high level floors. So for the first few floors, there could be a slight decrease in the value.
So unit 605 sold in 2017 for approximately 297,000. And then unit 1605, about the same time, just a couple of months later, sold for more than 10% less. It's on a higher floor. But let's assume that let's assume that we don't know whether that adds value or not, but it actually reduced the value. What would be your
that one didn't have a parking spot, so that's one thing that I could say would be a reason. And 605 did. So I don't know other reasons, but that could be part of a reason why.
So then it could be the parking spot is worth $30,000.
I wouldn't say it would be worth that much, but I think that there is something to it. I don't know exactly what the value of the parking spot is. I think that would be part of the reason.
Okay, you were at 271. So you're a little bit higher than that.
Yeah.
That lowest one up on the 16th floor.
Yes.
And the subject property does not have a parking spot, correct?
In our records, no, we don't have it listed as having a parking spot.
So then would you say that that might be the closest comparison?
It would probably be. I don't know what the other two, I only know that 1 and 4. So it's possible that could be the most comparable one.
Right. No further questions, Mr. Chairperson?
Thank you, Bill. Okay. Amanda, so this property, first of all, let's discuss location. This was built in 2016. We're talking about the southeast corner of Hargrave at Ellis. Is that right?
Yeah, well, yeah. It's kind of in between Ellis and it's a little bit closer to Portage.
Yeah, okay. So we're a block away from the MTS, or we'll call it the MTS Center. Okay. Hargrave's the one, if I remember correctly, there was a a daily parking ramp on the main floor, or maybe the first 2 floors of this building. Would that be right?
In this building, there's a parkade behind it. I don't think there's parking in the actual building. I looked at the plans, but I could be.
Okay, I am just wondering, maybe
beside it.
Maybe the appellant can help us here. There's a ramp that you can go into, is that correct on that?
Yeah, there's a parkade behind, approximately 3 to 4 floors, and it is connected to the building. And you had an option buying the unit brand new to include a parking spot. The value of the parking spot was approximately $20,000.
Yeah.
I did have a chance to speak with Ali Vandale this morning. I'm on the board of Glasshouse Lofts, so I'm actually the vice president. So I have a fairly in-depth knowledge of which one had parking spots and which didn't.
I guess my question is, how is the daily parking separated from the condo owner parking?
Well, a condo owner can purchase a parking spot when they buy the unit if it's brand new.
Okay.
So 705 and 605, those numbers reflect brand new parking spots when they were bought back in 2017. And they also had storage lockers, which were about $3,500 to $4,000, which also probably would not be reflected in the pricing as well. So there's approximately $43,000 to $45,000 in those two prices that inflate the value of the units, even though that they are 3 floors and 4 floors down from me, or two floors and 3 floors down, respectfully, from me. So,
my question is, we've got daily usage and probably evening usage parking from the MTS Center events. Would that be fair?
That would be fair, but there are designated.
So how are the condo owners' spots or tenants separated from the daily use parking?
There are assigned spots for the condo owners. So
is it blocked off by an entrance garage door, for instance, or is it open?
There is an opening that you can enter, and then there's reserved spots and non-reserved spots.
So the public parking, I'll call it that, on the first, let's say, 2 floors, is completely separate from the unit parking.
I'm not exactly sure how they've divvied it up. What I would say is each condo owner has a, if they did buy a parking spot with the brand new unit, they would have an assigned spot within the parkade. And I'm not exactly sure whether it's on the first floor or the 3rd floor or what have you, but there would be unreserved parking that would be available for parking for MTS events and so on and so forth. And that's to the best of my knowledge.
But the let's call them tenants are in enclosed parking as opposed to the public space being open.
I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say it's enclosed. It's covered.
Right.
The parking spot, Indigo runs the spot, and you can park there as a public parking person, but you wouldn't be able to park in a spot that has been purchased, to my knowledge, has been purchased on a brand new unit. So it would be a reserved spot.
Okay, but does public parking, is there a control gate that stops public people from coming into that reserved spot?
Well, there's a control gate at the front, and if a public person parks in a condo spot, they would be likely towed or ticketed.
Okay, let me put it another way. How many floors of parking are there available?
My guess would be at least 4 to 5 floors.
Okay, are the top 2 blocked off from public access?
I don't believe they would be, no.
So to get into that parkade, you have to get a ticket at the entrance. A gate comes up.
Yeah, or you would have a parking pass.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, but you're not sure if the building assigned parking is separated by some kind of access restriction to the.
I'm not 100% sure because I didn't buy a parking spot with my
Yeah.
unit. I would not be an expert on that, but I do know that parking spots were sold, and there is a reserve of parking spots still today to be held back for new sale for the units. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're kind of getting, sorry, I just wanted to get a clear picture here. I've got some more questions about that, but we'll leave it to your presentation. So who gets the income from the parkade?
The income from the parkade, I believe, goes to Indigo and the parkade owner. It's a separate ownership. But there is a 99-year lease the way they've been purchased.
Okay.
And that's the best information. I'm really going on information that I've just kind of heard. I wouldn't want to, put a ton of weight into what I'm saying, because honestly, I have never bought a parking spot there.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the clarification. So this was built in 2016, Miss Evans. The comparables that you're showing are all, I guess, new original purchase of the building units?
Yes.
Okay. And they were being marketed as brand new. At that time, they had option to purchase a parking spot, apparently, would be your understanding too, I guess. So let's go through the comparables. Comp number one, subject does not have a parking space. Is that fair? Yes. Okay. Comp number one, does that have a parking space? No.
Comp 1 does.
Okay.
And Comp 4 does not. And I don't know about Comp 2 and 3. So I can't, we don't have it on record. So
yeah,
they could have them, and I just don't have it updated. So I can only speak on Comp 1 and 4.
Right.
Regarding parking.
And where would that be listed on here under, would it be under, well, it should be enclosed parking, right? But it's only detached garage or detached garage. So
yeah, we don't have a, yeah, there's no spot to say it. It's just in our records.
All right. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So, no, I won't. It's okay. That's all my questions for now. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Masick, when you are ready, please.
Yeah, so thank you for hearing me out this morning. The only couple of things that I would say is that the listed price since 2017, what I would say is that these 4 sales happened at a time where the vast majority of Glasshouse Lofts was not sold. In fact, only about 30 to 40% of the building was sold around that time. And to this day, actually in 2021, there are still about 10 to 15% of the units that are still for sale from Urban Capital. I think there's about 25 to 26 units that are still for sale. So these sales, I don't believe, are very fair representations of the actual values of the condominiums, especially since 2017 and in 2018 and 2019. As we all know, condo values, especially in the downtown core area, have come down quite substantially. And this particular unit 905 was listed for a long time at and in their inventory at 272.9. So for the past 4 to 5 years, this was listed right around the assessment value and had not moved at all. It was subsequently last year or the year before reduced in price to 254.9, and we were able to secure this property for 218. So,
sir, that's post reference, okay?
Yeah,
we're not going to deal with that, okay?
That's fine. I just thought I would just kind of mention that condo prices. It's widely known that condo prices in Winnipeg, especially due to the pandemic, are coming down, especially in the core area. And I don't believe the comparables with the discrepancy in the parking spaces, whether or not they have storage facilities, I just think that they're throwing up a price and they haven't really assessed whether or not there is a parking space associated with it. If you, these were sold with parking spots for comp number one. I believe comp number two did as well, it's to the best of my knowledge. And they both had storage, which would drop the price by about $45,000 on both. So if you take the 296 minus the 45,000, you're in the 250 range. And that was back in 2017. And if you actually take the 2016, if you take 1605 and you subtract approximately $2,500 per floor on 1605, which did not have a parking spot, that would lower that cost by about 14 to 17,000, somewhere around in that range, which would drop that price down to about 245. So my whole premise is this apartment was listed around the assessment value. It sat for 5 years. It was not purchased for that price. And other apartments that are higher up would sell for around that price. But because I'm 7 floors down, they wouldn't, and it didn't have a parking spot. So 2 of the comps here, I believe, had parking spots. I'm not sure about 1105, but I believe two of the 4 comps had parking spots available to them and were included in that price. So this is a really short and sweet kind of presentation. I appreciate the effort Ms. Evans has put into the comparables, but I think it's just a bit high. And considering the trend of condo units going, I think a revision lower would be very reasonable and very much appreciated.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Ms. Evans, any questions of the appellant?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Bill, any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. Ian, any questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Masick, what value are you looking at for the board to adjust the value to?
I would think something in the 200 and, somewhere in the round range of 230,000 would be fair.
Okay. Can you join me in looking at the assessor's brief, please?
Yep.
In the comparables. Okay, so item comp number 2, 2 floors lower than you, and you think there was no parking, and sold for $296,000. Comp number 3, same size, 2 floors up from you, sold for $283,000. Your contention is comp number 1 and 4 are not good comparables because of they have a parking spot, right? Am I correct in saying that?
I would say comp 1 and 2 are probably not comparables because both of them have a parking spot.
1 and 2?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your comment, about floors being higher or lower and how you adjust for that?
Yeah, so with each floor, in negotiating with Urban Capital, each floor that you go higher is approximately $2,500 to $3,000 in value more. As you go down, it'll assess a more expensive price as you went up in floors.
Okay, so comp number 1 is 3 floors below you. So is that worth $10,000 less?
Comp 1 would be three floors lower. Yep. So that would be fair. Yep.
Comp number 2 is 2 floors down. So an adjustment of, let's say, $6,000 to $7,000.
Yep.
And then comp number 3 is 2 floors up. So $7,000 that way. And the next one would require theoretically adjustment of 7 times about $20,000. because of floor level height. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think in the marketplace that would make that much difference if those units were to resell?
I think you, first of all, if they were to resell, are you asking me to resell today or resell?
In general, in the marketplace, do you think that floor level makes that much difference, even though that's what they were asking for on the original build and sale price?
I think floor level makes all the difference.
Okay.
Especially with that particular building that has approximately 25 to 30% of the building is short-term rentals. The other 25 to 30% is long-term rentals. And then about 30% is owner occupiers. So I think it makes a huge difference when you're renting a spot, whether or not you're on the 5th floor looking into a back lane at a brick wall or the 19th floor overlooking our wonderful, beautiful city.
Okay, so your unit, let's talk about your unit. Which way do you face and what is your view?
We face the south and our view is of the MTS Center.
Okay, and you're above any buildings that are on Portage Avenue?
We are above any buildings that are on Portage Avenue. And what I will say in Ms. Evans' assessment is all of those units are on the south side. So those are all equal.
Okay.
If they were on the north side, I would bring up the fact that the north side is slightly less desirable.
Yeah, okay. And do you rent or live in the property?
Currently I rent it, but I do live in it part-time.
Okay, what's the situation with the rent? Monthly, and how much is that?
It's not a monthly rent. It's a short-term rental that I use sporadically when I'm downtown. So it can be listed for a month. It could be not listed for a month. In January, February, the rents are quite low because nobody comes to Winnipeg in January. In August, they are pretty good. So
okay,
yeah.
So are we talking like VRBO or something per night?
Yeah, Airbnb or VRBO.
Yeah.
Those
so what is your rent? What was your rental rate per night? I know.
Our rental rate per night varies. In the January, February months, we're looking at probably $79 to $89 per night, with a 60 to 70% occupancy, which would get us around $1,500 to $1,800 a month in rent. In August, if I chose to rent it out in August, it would be higher. It'd be anywhere between $100 to $110 per night with about 95% occupancy. So it would be, $3,000, $3,500 in rent.
Okay.
August, it varies.
And you're including utilities in that, I guess. Is it electric baseboard or is it individual?
It would be electric, but with Airbnb, we pay all the property taxes, we pay all the amenities. So we would have to pay, we pay all the electricity, we pay all the internet, cable, all the expenses. With a long-term rental, obviously, it's a little different. We have, they would take on the cost of the electricity, they would take on the cost of their phone and internet and all that. But with a short-term rental, we have to pay for all that.
Okay, parking, they would have to pay daily 24-hour parking?
They would have to pay their own parking, yes.
Okay, and on short-term rentals, is there a cleaning fee that you apply to each day?
Yes.
Or 2 days? What would that be?
That cleaning fee runs around $79 to the client. And of that, we pay cleaning supplies, and to our cleaner, and that particular unit is around $60 plus GST to clean the unit. So there's a little bit of a margin in there to pay for, soap and cleaning supplies and so on and so forth. Okay.
And my last question is, if you've got that I think you said around 90% occupancy, would it be fair to say that not having a parking spot isn't affecting the rentability of the property?
It does actually affect slightly because I do have to charge a little bit less of a room rate if parking is not included.
Okay. And what is that parking rate per day for the
It
10.
can be, well, if you're parking just as a public parker, there's no in and out privileges, and it can be as high as $30 to $35 per day.
Okay, but you don't have a pass as a building occupant that would give them a discount, for instance, in and out privileges?
I do have a pass, and sometimes we do sell those at a small markup, but it's really just to try to get as much of a room rate as possible.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. Those are all my questions. Amanda, any requirement for summary?
No, thanks.
Okay. Mr. Masek, any requirement for a summary?
No, I just thank you very much for hearing me. I hope the assessment comes in a little bit more fair for me, and I would appreciate any reduction would be valuable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for appearing, and we'll consider both arguments and or presentations, I should say, and we'll get a mail out to you as soon as possible on our decision. Okay, thank you. That concludes Unit 905, 311 Hargraves Street. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And looking at the docket, we have heard all the items scheduled today, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, Amanda. Okay, does anybody need a quick break?
I think I need 5 minutes. My hang tag isn't working. I gotta add about